This is Animons Deep Dives, where I'll be discussing the creative process behind each Pokemon design I've come up with, as well as going more in depth about their lore, abilities, and possible movesets. Quick spoiler warning to those of you who aren't caught up with the manga or haven't seen the series yet. Now let's dive right in. In this video, I will be discussing Deku's final evolution, Vigilhog. This one is definitely my favorite out of the three and the most fun design. I personally love the Dark Deku arc. It's just such a change from his usual appearance. The mask with the dark eyes, the hero costume looking almost decayed from how much he's been fighting, and his tired sunken eyes, lacking all sense of faith and hope. That cheery, caring young hero we've seen grow throughout the series is now almost a shell of himself, and it's kind of sad to see him in this way. I don't know, I just really love this part of the series. And honestly, he just looks so sick with that black whip dragging along beside him. He's almost sinister looking. So obviously this is where the inspiration for Vigilhog came into play. I wanted to base his final stage's design after Deku's vigilante look, and I think it turned out really well. Perhaps I was a little too close to the original look, but this was the first final stage Pokemon I came up with, so I was still experimenting with what look I was going for in these designs. So now let me explain why I decided to make him dark fighting type. Obviously, Deku is not a bad character. He's probably one of the purest characters you could think of in an anime. So this dark typing isn't based off his personality. Originally, I wanted to design Vigilhog with his black whip like in the anime when it's flowing out of Deku and dragging along beside him. Between that and the way he looks towards the end of his vigilante phase, people were starting to get really scared of Deku. When I was designing the Pokemon, I thought the whips would be too much and make the Pokemon look overly designed, so I decided to just leave it out. But because I wanted to stick to his vigilante look, I decided to keep the dark typing, and I figured he could still have a signature move inspired by Black Whip. I also wanted to play up the trope of him being a hero despite looking kinda scary. You could also argue that vigilantes aren't your usual cookie-cutter hero, with all the bells and whistles and polished appearance. People don't usually look up to vigilantes, and see them more as lawbreakers or troublemakers. So making Vigilhog look like not your typical hero also makes sense to pair with the dark typing. Okay, enough about that. Oh yeah, he's also fighting type because... yeah, I think you get the point. Moving on, let's talk about his name, Vigilhog. He's a vigilante and a hedgehog. Well, that was easy. As for his color scheme, I wanted to incorporate as much of the colors from his costume while still making it look like it's not just a Pokemon wearing clothing. Whether I accomplished that or not, I'll let you be the judge. I also muted the colors to make them look darker, further emphasizing the dark theming. His shiny is also a dulled out version of the colors I used in his previous shiny form. Okay, let's talk stats and abilities. For its stats, it's definitely a speedy type, and I think it could have a higher special attack as well. The various quirks Deku is able to use from the other one-for-all wielders seems more like special attacks than physical attacks. He would still have a relatively high physical attack, since Deku is now able to use much more of one-for-all and land much bigger blows on enemies. So overall, a speedy attacker. His move pool would be rather versatile, being able to learn a wide variety of moves through both level up and TMs. I think a few new moves could be introduced with this Pokemon to represent the different quirks Deku is able to use. One of those would be Dark Whip, a play on Deku's Black Whip, and it could be similar to Vine Whip, but just for dark types instead of grass types. The move Foresight could be a representation of Danger Sense. For the Float quirk, I'm thinking just make a Pokemon move called Float, and make it so the user becomes immune to ground type moves for 5 turns. So kind of like Levitate, but a move instead of an ability. Smokescreen is an easy one, and for Fajin, I'm thinking a move like Bulk Up could work since it raises the user's attack and defense. As for Gear Shift, maybe just Agility since it raises his speed. If you guys think of better moves to represent the different quirks, leave a comment below. Overall, he's a very versatile Pokemon with a number of possibilities in terms of movesets and whether you would want him to be a physical attacker or a special attacker, and how do you want to go about it. As for abilities, you could have the ability Protein, which changes the user's typing based on the move it uses. I could see that being useful since it has such a wide move pool. As for its hidden ability, I call it Hero's Plea, which, when the user cries out to the enemy, it lowers the opponent's attack stat. This is in reference to Deku always trying to reason with the villains and trying to help them rather than hurt them. Maybe sometimes his words get to people, which is why the opponent's attack stat gets lowered. And that's everything for Deku's final stage, Vigilhog. That was quite the deep dive. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to hit the like button, leave a comment, and if you like my content, follow the channel for more anime-inspired Pokemon. I love seeing your comments about how much you all are enjoying this series, and I really want to continue making more of these designs for you. So if you could share these videos and follow the channel, it would really help. Thank you all so much for your support, and I really appreciate it. See you all next time.